You used the can everyone tells you to use, blue and yellow, sitting under every kitchen sink in America. You sprayed, the squeak stopped, you felt competent. Then it came back, louder than before, and now the can's half empty and the door sounds like a haunted house. Here's what nobody told you. The product you've been reaching for was designed in 1953 to protect missile parts from rust. It's not a hinge oil, it's not a lubricant, not in the way you need one to be. And the cheap little bottle sitting 3 shelves away at the hardware store, the one with the funny retro label, costs about $1, is literally designed for the job you're trying to do. Here's the part that sounds like a conspiracy, but absolutely isn't. WD-40. Company tells you this themselves in plain English on their own website and in every SEC filing they've submitted for the past 30 years. They call WD-40 a multi-purpose product. Notice the words they don't use. They don't call it a lubricant. They don't call it a hinge treatment. They don't call it a long-term anything. They describe it, officially, as a water displacer, a penetrant, a cleaner, a moisture guard with some light lubricating properties thrown in. Every single function in that list is temporary by design. It's supposed to chase moisture out of electronics, free up rusted bolts, lift grime off chrome. Jobs where you want something thin enough to creep into tight gaps and evaporate afterward without leaving a mess. And here's where it stops being mysterious. In December of 1995, WD-40 Company bought another product. Spent about $15 million on it. It's called 3-in-1 oil. Maybe you've seen it. Small bottle, red label, little spout on top. It was invented in 1894 by a guy in New Jersey to lubricate bicycle chains. It was always an oil, still is. And when WD-40 Company filed their paperwork, with the SEC describing what they'd bought, they wrote it in black and white. 3-in-1 is for precise applications of a lubricant. So you have the same company, under the same roof, selling you 2 products. One is a water-displacing penetrant with some lubrication. The other is an actual lubricant. And for reasons that have everything to do with which kin has the louder advertising budget and which one's been a household name since the Eisenhower administration, you've been grabbing the wrong one for your hinges your entire adult life. The story starts in 1894 on a workbench in Asbury Park, New Jersey, where a guy named George Cole was trying to keep bicycle chains from seizing up. Bicycles in 1894 were a mess. The chain drive was new, the metallurgy was worse than it is now, and every rider carried a little tin of oil because you'd have to re-lube mid-ride or you weren't finishing your ride. Cole wanted something that did 3 things at once. Lubricate the chain, protect the steel from rust, clean off the grit it picked up on the road. 3 jobs, 1 formula. He called it 3-in-1, incorporated a company around it, and that formula, with some modern refinements, is still what you're getting when you buy the little red and yellow bottle today. A mineral oil base, some corrosion inhibitors, designed from day one to stay where you put it and keep 2 pieces of metal from grinding against each other. Now fast forward almost 60 years. It's 1953, San Diego, and a chemist named Norm Larson is working at a tiny outfit called Rocket Chemical Company. 3 founders, a handful of employees. Their contract is with Convair, the aerospace company building the Atlas missile, and the problem they've been hired to solve is corrosion. Atlas missiles have this thin outer skin that rusts in the salty San Diego air before they even leave the launch pad. Larson is mixing formulas, trying to find a compound that'll chase water out of the seams and leave a protective film behind. He tries 39 different blends. None of them work well enough. On the 40th try, he nails it. They call it Water Displacement Formula 40. WD-40. Here's the key detail. It was made to get water off metal. That's the first thing it does. Everything else it does, lifting dirt, loosening a rusted nut, giving a thin protective coat. Those are side effects of being a thin, aggressive, water-chasing solvent blend. When it hit the consumer market in 1958, people started using it for everything, including hinges, and it worked well enough to sell, not because it's the right tool for that job, because it kind of works on almost any job, which is a different thing. Then, in 1995, WD-40 Company, by then a public company with hundreds of millions in revenue, bought Cole's old bicycle oil brand, and the 2 histories finally collided under one corporate roof. To understand why your hinge keeps squeaking no matter how much you spray, you have to understand what WD-40 actually is chemically. Open the safety data sheet. Anyone can. It's on their site. The formula is mostly what the industry calls aliphatic hydrocarbons, light petroleum distillates, the same family as mineral spirits, thin, runny, volatile. There's a small amount of mineral oil mixed in. That's the part that sticks around after everything else evaporates. Ballpark, it's maybe 15-20% of what's in the can. The rest is the carrier, the thin stuff that lets the spray creep into tight spaces, chase water out, and dissolve gunk. Here's what happens when you spray that into a hinge. The solvent carrier rushes in, drops the viscosity of whatever dirty old grease is already in there, and for about 10 minutes, your hinge is swimming in a thin oil bath. The squeak stops, because the metal surfaces are no longer dragging across each other directly. You feel like a genius. You close the door, walk away, go eat dinner. And over the next 3 to 14 days, most of what you sprayed evaporates off. The volatile hydrocarbons lift into the air. What's left is that thin film of mineral oil, a couple of microns thick, clinging to the pin and the barrel. That film, under the weight of a door opening and closing 100 times a day, gets squeezed out faster than you'd think. The squeak comes back. You spray again. Same cycle. This isn't WD-40 failing. This is WD-40 doing exactly what it was designed to do. It's a thin, evaporating penetrant. If you had a rusted shut bolt, this is the can you'd want. If you had a wet ignition coil on a lawnmower, same thing. But a door hinge is a different problem. A door hinge is 2 pieces of steel carrying a load, the whole weight of the door, and pivoting against each other thousands of times a year. That's not a penetration problem. That's a sustained film problem. You need something that clings, something that doesn't evaporate, something that stays between those 2 surfaces and keeps them from touching. That's what an oil is. A real lubricant oil. 3-in-1, motor oil, sewing machine oil, mineral oil from the drugstore. They're all in the same family. Heavier molecules. Viscosity 20 or 30 times that of the liquid portion of WD-40. They don't flash off, they stay put. 1 drop on a hinge pin, worked into the barrel, will outlast a whole can of penetrant spray by months. And here's the thing that makes this borderline infuriating once you see it. The can of WD-40 you already own tells you, if you read the label carefully, that it's for freeing stuck parts and displacing moisture. The mythology around it is that it's for everything. The actual label's more modest than you've been treating it. There's one more wrinkle worth knowing. On some hinges, especially older ones or outdoor ones, the squeak isn't just dryness. It's rust inside the barrel, rust on the pin, sometimes a little corrosion blooming out between the 2. In that case, yes, WD-40 is actually useful. As step 1, let it soak in, work the door back and forth to loosen the rust and lift the grit, wipe it all off. That's its job. Then you apply the oil. 2 products, 2 steps, both made by the same company. So here's what actually works in the order you'll reach for it. For a standard interior door hinge, the one on your bedroom or your bathroom, and the answer is 3-in-1 oil. The little bottle with the spout. Pop the hinge pin up. You can do this with a nail and a hammer. Tap it out from the bottom. Put 1 or 2 drops of oil on the pin. Wipe it with a rag so it's coated but not dripping. Slide the pin back in and work the door. Open, close, 10 or 12 times. You'll feel the resistance change. That's the oil working into the full length of the barrel. Wipe off any that seeps out. You're done. That hinge will stay quiet for 6 months to a year, depending on how often the door gets used. The whole process takes less time than it took me to describe it. If you can't pull the pin, sometimes on older hinges they're painted in or seized, you can drip the oil down into the top of the barrel with the door in place and work it back and forth. Less effective, because you're not coating the full pin, but it'll still outperform any penetrant spray. For a heavier door, a steel exterior door, a garage side door, a gate hinge out in the weather, 3-in-1 will work, but you'll get longer life out of white lithium grease. That's the stuff in the little can that comes out as a thin white foam and sets up tacky. It stays put through rain. It stays put through heat. It doesn't drip in summer. On an outdoor gate, 1 application a year is usually enough. Apply it the same way. Pin out if you can, coat it, work it in. For hinges with plastic or nylon bushings, which you see on some modern cabinet hinges and some storm doors, you actually don't want oil at all. Oil can swell some plastics over time. Silicone spray is the answer there. Dry to the touch, doesn't attract dust, plays nicely with plastic. Spray a light coat, work the hinge, wipe. And for locks, this is a bonus one because once you start paying attention to this stuff, you'll notice it. Do not put oil in a lock cylinder. Don't use WD-40, don't use 3-in-1, don't use anything wet. Oils in a pin tumbler attract dust, and over a couple of years, the lock comes up worse than it started. Use powdered graphite. Tiny puffer bottle, costs $3. Puff a little into the keyhole, work the key in and out. Locks will stay smooth for years. That's the toolkit. 3-in-1 for regular hinges. White lithium for heavy and outdoor. Silicone for plastic. Graphite for locks. And WD-40, the blue and yellow, can you already have, for what it was actually designed for, freeing rusted parts and displacing water before you apply the real lubricant. Total cost to own all 4, under $15. You'll use them for a decade. Compare that to spraying through a can of WD-40 every couple months on a squeak that keeps coming back. One more practical note. When you buy 3-in-1, look at the bottle. The regular red label one is what you want for hinges. They also make a professional line, a specific lock-dry lube, a silicone variant. All the same family. For a squeaky door, the regular red label bottle does the job. That's the dollar answer. The takeaway isn't that WD-40 is a bad product. It's the opposite, actually. WD-40 is phenomenal at what it was designed to do. It's a ruthlessly effective penetrant and water displacer. And the reason it's in 90% of American garages isn't just marketing, it's because it genuinely works for the jobs it was built for. The problem isn't the can, the problem is the story we've told around the can. Somewhere between 1958 and now, it became the default answer for any metal-on-metal complaint. And 2 generations of us grew up spraying it at hinges and chains and bike sprockets and lawnmower decks. Not because that was ever the right answer, but because the can was already on the shelf. That's the real lesson, and honestly, it applies to most of the products in your garage and your kitchen. A thing designed for one specific job gets marketed as the answer to everything. And over time, the specific product actually made for your specific problem gets quieter and quieter in the background. Sometimes, that quiet product is owned by the same company selling you the loud one. That's not a conspiracy. That's just how shelf space and advertising budgets work. So next time a Hinge starts talking to you, skip the blue can, grab the little red label bottle, a drop on the pin, work the door, wipe the excess. The squeak doesn't come back in 2 weeks, it comes back in a year. And the next time a product has multi-purpose on the label, take that as useful information. The manufacturer is telling you politely that it's the Swiss Army knife in the drawer. And for any specific job, there's probably a better dedicated tool you just haven't met yet. If this kind of thing, the actual story behind the products, you've used your whole life, is what you're here for, stick around. I pull apart the next one every week. And if you've got a specific product myth you want me to take a hammer to, drop it in the comments. I read them. The weirder the better. Something somebody taught you as a kid that turned out to be nonsense. Those are the ones I want.